the way it always should.
Hi everyone and welcome back to my vlog. Today it's all about the Vulcan Hotel in Wattle Street, Ultimo in Sydney. So it was a small hotel, it didn't really have a proper stage, but it did play host to some mighty fine bands, mostly in the 80s and 90s. So whatever happened to the Vulcan? Stay tuned and you'll find out. The Vulcan started its life in the late 1800s and it was named the Vulcan, god of fire, the meaning of that word, because of the iron foundry opposite the building, and apparently you could see the fires from the forges, so that's kind of the story behind the name. Now, a lady called Joanna Ryan held the reins from about 1909, and for a lot of years it was mostly just accommodation and a watering hole for, the locals. Jazz music was extremely popular during various eras in Australian music history, and a lot of bands did perform regularly all around, the Strawberry Hills Hotel, and the Vulcan did play host to some jazz musicians, people like Tom Baker. For the most part, it was a dedicated live music venue, and it did play host to lots and lots of indie alternative bands, and some of those bands did cross over to mainstream. So regarding kind of the origins of when live music started, I did read somewhere a guy called Marcus Phelan. He wrote something about going to the Vulcan with Mandy Kennington and Rob Lucky with the intention of talking about, putting on gigs, knowing that, there are a lot of bands that could pull a crowd. Look, I think the first real kind of band that did play there, like a sort of rock and roll band was the Scientists. And in fact, they actually had a residency there and they played for about $2 every Saturday night. So a lot of punters did turn up.
Sometimes I feel just like Travis Bickle, or just another sucker trying to build a dream.
Other bands like Last Word, Soggy Porridge, the Hoodoo Gurus, The Most, Idiom Flesh, Frankenstein. So there's Soggy Porridge, and there's the Celibate Rifles. Bands like Dry Horrors, Brave New Works, The Triffids, Coupe de Ville, I think they played there that year. In 1983, I found this ad for Raucous Arousal Brass Band. Lots of jazz bands played there. Zulu Rattle played there. Adrenaline, The Conspirators, The New Avengers, and Spectre's Revenge with Steve Lorcan. I think they played there with Minuteman. I think John Needham might have been in that. Urban Gorillas, The Wet Taxis, The Flies, Division 4, Howling Commando, Ragdoll, Electric Pandas, Painters and Dockers, The Wrong Kind of Stone Age, and Wolfgang. So 1984, the great band No Man's Land played there. Surprise, surprise. The Amazing Decline of the Reptiles, a band you need to check out. They should have been huge and they weren't, but yeah, really some great clips on YouTube.
Come on, tell me!
Happy Hate Me Nots, Funhouse, Mushroom Planet, Crystal Set, Craven Fops, and the Hard-Ons, who also, like Celibate Rifles, they played there for the first time. And I do have an ad, I'll find it in a minute. Here it is. So yeah, that's it there. So now this one's actually December 84. And I think the Hard-Ons' first kind of real live performance on stage at the Vulcan might have been in June. And there's one of Tall Tales and True. So that was September 1986. In 85, the Psychotic Turnbuckles played at the Vulcan, as well as the wonderful Eastern Dark and the amazing Trilobites. The Plug Uglies and some jazz bands I found in 1986 playing there. 1987, Penguins on Safari, which I think the guy from the Whitlams might have been in that. Trench Gashes, Porcelain Baths, The Plunderers, The Trips, Vanilla Chainsaw, Toys Went Berserk, and The Voltees. On my way to find the Vulcan Hotel, just here on Kelly Street, or sort of near Kelly Street, which is over there, and Wattle, and I found it. It's on the corner of Wattle and Mary Ann. There it is there. So Vulcan Street Hotel. I'm not sure if it's a bar or what it is, but there it is there. Let's go and have a look.
Yes, right. And they're charging, right, hold on. $15. Yes, go. Would you like one? What would you like as your background? This lovely bookcase?
So we're moving along to the mid-90s, bands like Nitocris, Feed Time, Frenzal Rom, Frozen Doberman, there's an ad there for them, and of course Silverchair. So this one is dated October 94. It's the infamous gig that, I was actually at that gig. I remember it well because their parents were standing right in front of me, and they were babies. I remember them being really young.
I go over to each other's houses and try and make something out of it. And we write all the music first, and then probably about the night after that, I just sit down and write the lyrics, and then the next practice, I just sing the lyrics there, and we show him the bass bit, and we just all try and get it tight that practice.
As well, bands like Asteroid B612, there's an ad for them there. Magic Dirt played at the Vulcan, and that's with Big Heavy Stuff, Asteroid Boy, and Noise Addict. So there it is there. Rat Cat played at the Vulcan. And in 1996, the Super Jesus, fantastic band, that Super Jesus, I really like them. There were other bands, of course. I couldn't really find the exact dates, but Died Pretty were there. Mass Appeal, UMI, Sacred Cowboys were there one night, or maybe a couple of nights, from Melbourne. Subversion, Daisy Grinder, and Suicide of Flowers. They apparently were really good. Look, I did notice that there are a lot of band competitions at the Vulcan, and I found an article of a grand final one with Labradog, the band Labradog, winning. And lots of, band competitions throughout the years. Now, regarding the hard-ons, Hector Kirkwood has a website called metallipromo.com, and you'll find some amazing pictures and posters of the hard-ons on that site. Now, Jodie Adams, she's a writer for various media outlets like Ram magazine, and she wrote for the Sydney Morning Herald. Now, she did offer up her own memories. She remembers it was a short block from the old Fairfax building, and she does have some fantastic memories. Bands like Decline of the Reptiles, Celibate Rifles, Eastern Dark, The Scientists, and she remembers people packing outside the footpath, and one memory was where in between sets there was someone surfing the roof of a station wagon that was being driven slowly up and back in reverse down the little road that was in front of the Vulcan. So she has some great memories. Look, Peter Blackie of the Hard-Ons, he remembers it as the first proper venue that the band played in. He saw the Celibate Rifles there, first time he went there. And he also remembers there was a bar to the right, a low ceiling, and it just felt like he lived there. He said it was a bummer when some of the more violent crowds started coming. Now, Jeff Milne, drummer of Eastern Dark, he was in the Plunderers as well as Bomb de Lascans. He remembers playing in 83 with the New Avengers. He said it was a 5-piece band, and James DeRoche saw him playing with them, and a year later he asked him to join a band that he was putting together called the Eastern Dark. So rest in peace, James DeRoche. Jeff remembers there was no PA, there were no wedges, just two vocal speakers. And he loved playing on the floor with the crowd, standing right in front. He said you could talk to people between songs. no security. Just the cover charge was about $2 or $3, and it was always packed with about 200 people. Owen Orford, musician or ex-musician of the band Finch. Currently, he's a manager at New World Artists, doing a great job, Owen. He invited Ken West of the Big Day Out to the Vulcan Hotel to see the band Silverchair, and apparently Ken was introduced to the guys who were sitting in the van because they weren't allowed in that licensed area. And Ken does say that he then locked them in to the next Big Day Out, which I think was 1995. Admittedly, they played at like 3 p.m. on a sort of smaller stage, but hey, if you were there, wow, amazing. Craig Matheson actually in his book High Five Ways mentions that they played the minor support slot at the Vulcan with Nancy Vandal and the Assassins, and it had a capacity of 150, but 500 fans tried to cram in. And apparently the cover of the Pure Massacre Silverchair was photographed on that night, and one guy said that his mate Pete was the one on the cover with his Doc Martin taking out the lighting rig. So yeah, that's probably true. Interestingly, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese spoke to an ABC reporter and talked about the Vulcan Hotel, and he was said to have, his quotes were, there's a little hotel in Ultimo in Sydney called the Vulcan Hotel. The Celibate Rifles was a pretty memorable gig for me. How's the humidity? Whew. Melbourne's Sacred Cowboys manager Michael Lynch, he remembers the first time he ever saw the Johnnies play at the Vulcan. Apparently they were hiding in the toilets, the female toilets, and just running in and out screaming. I think that's just a typical kind of scenario for the Johnnies. Crazy but amazing band. Died Pretty, I believe, played at the Vulcan, and Ron Pino. I found a great painting of him or picture of him by a guy called Brad Franks. And apparently it's the picture of Ron outside a fish and chip shop at Gorican, of all places, on the Central Coast, where I work, actually. Kim Salmon, he played there as well, with the scientists, of course, but I found a really nice drawing that he had of the Vulcan. Now, I've got an article regarding stories. I've got an article dated January 1983, and it talks about some new publicans that actually, because of the new sort of random breath testing laws, provided a bus to take their customers home through sort of Lane Cove, Balmain, Rozelle and Newtown 3 times a night. Now, look, I was lucky enough to chat with Vince Chascuna, the band booker and ex-musician, or current musician, I should say, about his memories of the Vulcan. So tune into that. So hi Vince, thanks for coming along on my vlog, and I was really interested to talk to you both as a musician and a band booker.
I was in a band called The Conspirators.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we just did the local places like the Vulcan and Piedmont Bridge Hotel,
Mm-hmm. Were you in Psychotic Turnbuckles?
Yeah, I'm a bit reluctant to say that I was in that. Yeah.
I can edit that out, don't worry.
Obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I was in Psychotic Turnbuckles. Buffalo Revisited.
Oh, were you? Okay, yep.
Yeah.
With Dave Tice.
Yeah. And my current band, Jupiter 5.
Oh, I have seen that. Yeah, I've seen some reviews or some articles on the I-94 website about that, about this band that you're in, and it sounds fantastic. Yeah, how did you start sort of, getting involved with the Vulcan Hotel? Like, were you a punter first, or were you managing bands there, or?
I've never managed bands,
yep.
Even though I did get asked to manage the hard-ons, but I had a little bit to do with them starting.
Oh, wow.
Because they were just like young kids, like 7. And, I actually gave them their first show at the Vulcan.
Oh, fabulous.
First pub show, actually. Yeah.
I did see that, actually. I saw that the Hard-Ons put on their first ever pub show there. It was in 84, wasn't it? Did you kind of stay around the Vulcan and book other bands, or what happened there?
Oh, all types of bands, like Celibate Rifles, Eastern Dark, Die Pretty.
Oh, Die Pretty were there, yep.
Yeah, Scream and Tribesmen, all them bands.
Oh, fantastic, yeah. I saw some other ones too, like the Trilobites and the Scientists. Yes, the Flies and Urban Guerrillas. Any particular, gigs that you saw there?
I used to love the band comps.
Oh, yes.
Every Sunday that was good. Yeah.
In fact, I've seen a lot of street press that advertise a lot of band competitions. So was that kind of like, 3 bands competing, or how did that work?
5 or 6 bands,
Mm-hmm.
and just bands that wanted to, it was more of a showcase thing, and, bands like the Division 4, golf club.
I just find it interesting that, there's this little scene that was kind of happening around Sydney, at the Strawberry Hills, at the Evening Star, at the Sydney Trade Union Club. And then as certain places closed, people still wanted to see live bands. So places like the Vulcan were great, that sort of stayed open for a little bit longer.
But, it was all to do with, like, Double J at the time,
Yeah.
Because, you used to be able to walk up into the bloody control room and hand them a single, and they played within 5 minutes,
Yeah, very, very interesting.
As you're walking away. Like I said, the Vulcan was like a showcase thing, someone would pick you up. The Vulcan was a special place. It was on floor level. Hunters were right on top of you.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
intimate.
it was just a great atmosphere and feeling, and you had to lug in these massive, big, bloody PA systems, and you had to do it, and then wait around till it was all over and lug it all out.
Did the Vulcan have a stage?
After I left it, I think they did. They changed the dynamics of the room. They put it where the pool tables were. But we all secretly love playing those small venues.
I agree. Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, I reckon if I was a musician, I'd crave those small intimate gigs because you just feed off the energy from people. And sometimes when you're at a bigger venue, I don't know, they're still great, obviously, but sometimes those small venues just have that little vibe that you don't get anywhere else. Now, it seems that by late 2002, there was a brand new Vulcan where millions was spent on the heritage listed building. And I guess today it is simply boutique accommodation, family owned, and the owners are the Lords. So it looks like it's only an accommodation boutique hotel. I'll be honest with you, I've got a memory of an outdoor area. I remember being outside where the stage was, so not sure where it might be, but it's very much a hotel accommodation. You can see the rooms are in there, and I'm approaching reception. So look, thanks for watching. If you have any stories, just write them in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and keep a lookout for future vlogs.